Hey, this part is in the continuation of our previous video in which we were reading our chapter number 5 quality of our book Honeycomb. In the first part, we learnt about Mr. Gessler, whom the author knew because he made his father's boots. And he was such an artist, we can say he was perfect in his job. He was so adept at making shoes that whichever pair they made has become a masterpiece and it fits everyone very well and is very durable. We also discussed the ambience of his shop, which was more like a church than most of these shops, and the appearance of Mr. Gessler. We ended the video where author approached Mr. Gessler to give an order of his boots. Now let's read further. I cannot forget the day on which I had occasion to say to him, Mr. Gessler, that last pair of boots creaked, you know. So creak is actually the sound produced by a thing when it is dragged. Here the author is saying that he cannot forget that day when he went to Mr. Gessler and complained about a shoe that he had made, that it was creaking. To which Mr. Gessler said, he looked at me for a time without replying, as if expecting me to withdraw or qualify the statement, then said, it should not have creaked. When the author told Mr. Gessler that the shoe made by him was creaking, Mr. Gessler looked at him blankly, and he was silently saying him that either disqualify your statement or take your words back, because he cannot make any mistake. And Mr. Gessler said it should not have creaked. To which the author said, it did. I am afraid. Now here the phrase I am afraid does not mean that somebody is scared. We use this phrase to express any regret or remorse. So with regret, the author said that it did. To which Mr. Gessler said, you got them wet before they found themselves. I don't think so. At that, he lowered his eyes as if hunting for memory of those boots, and I felt sorry I had mentioned this grave thing. Send them back, he said. I will look at them. Then Mr. Gessler started recollecting all the memories of that boot and felt sorry for that. Mr. Gessler told him to bring them back and he would see if he could do anything. Some boots, he continued slowly, are bad from birth. If I can do nothing with them, I take them off your bill. Then Mr. Gessler said that some boots are bad from birth, and if he could not repair it, he would take off those shoes from the bill. Once I went absent-mindedly into his shop in a pair of boots bought in an emergency at some large firm. He took my order without showing me any leather, and I could feel his eyes penetrating the inferior covering of my foot. At last he said, those are not my boots. Mr. Gessler was so perfect and he did his work with all his heart. And when a person puts so much energy, time and his passion into something, it is very difficult for that person to take criticism. When he got that, he get offended and he lastly said that those are not my boots, that I have not made them. The tone was not of anger, nor of sorrow, not even of contempt, but there was in it something quiet that froze the blood. From this line we can easily understand that how Mr. Gessler had felt that time. He put his hand down and pressed a finger on the place where the left boot was not quite comfortable. It hurts you there. Then Mr. Gessler asked him by touching at a particular point of his foot that the shoe must be hurting him at that point. Those big firms have no self-respect. And then, as if something had given way within him, he spoke long and bitterly. It was the only time I ever heard him discuss the conditions and hardships of his trade. Mr. Gessler never discussed his hardships in his business to anyone ever. And this is the first time when he spoke about it. And he spoke quite long. He described all his journey and the current scenario. And he said that these big firms have no self-respect. They get it all. They get it by advertisement, not by work. They take it away from us who love our boots. It comes to this. Presently, I have no work. Every year it gets less, you will see. And looking at his lined face, I saw things I had never noticed before. Bitter things and bitter struggle, and what a lot of grey hair there seen suddenly in the red beard. Here Mr. Gessler poured all his heart before the author. He told him that these big firms and these big companies took all the business away with the help of advertisement. They have no quality, they have no work ethics, but they are getting everything due to these advertisements. Every year the business is getting reduced. They are left with no work in spite of loving their passion, their work. As best I could, I explained the circumstances of those ill-omened boots, but his face and voice made so deep an impression that during the next few minutes I ordered many pairs. They lasted longer than ever, and I was not able to go to him for nearly 2 years. Listening to all this, the author decided to give order for more pairs so that he could help in any way to Mr. Gessler. But the problem is, the quality of the boots made by Mr. Gessler was so good that it lasted terribly. It never get worn out, and he didn't get chance to visit again and order them again. It was many months before my next visit to his shop. This time it appeared to be his elder brother handling a piece of leather. And after 2 years, when author went to his shop, he thought that the person he came across is his elder brother. But to his surprise, he was Mr. Gessler himself. "Well, Mr. Gessler," I said, "how are you?" He came close and peered at me. "I am pretty well," he said slowly, "but my elder brother is dead." And I saw that it was indeed himself, but how aged and wan. And never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, "Oh, I'm sorry." "Yes," he answered, "he was a good man. He made a good boot, but he is dead." And he touched the top of his head where the hair had suddenly gone as thin as it had been on that of his poor brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of his death. "Do you want any boots?" And he held up the leather in his hand. "It's a beautiful piece." Mr. Gessler told the author that his brother is dead, and he was a good person, he made good boots, he was perfect at it. And then Mr. Gessler asked the author if he want any boots and showed him the leather in his hand, that it's a beautiful piece. I ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. One simply could not wear them out, and soon after that I went abroad. This time also the author ordered several pair of boots, but again the quality was that much good that it was very durable, and then the author went to abroad. It was over a year before I was again in London, and the first shop I went to was my old friend's. I had left a man of 60. I came back to one of 75, pinched and worn, who genuinely this time did not at first know me. "Do you want any boots?" he said. "I can make them quickly. It is a slack dime." I answered, "Please, please, I want boots all around, every kind." I had given those boots up when one evening they came. One by one I tried them on, in shape and fit. In finish and quality of leather, they were the best he had ever made. I flew downstairs, wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand. So when he received his boots, he tried them on. He found that each and every pair of that boot is fit, the quality was out of this world, and he just signed his check at once and posted it. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fitted. A week later, when the author was passing by, he decided that he should go and appreciate that how amazing shoes he had made. So he went into the shop. But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. So what did he see? Remember the signboard of Gessler Brothers? It has been removed from there. There was no name of them. I went in very much disturbed. In the shop, there was a young man with an English face. Mr. Gessler in? No, sir. No, but we can attend in anything with pleasure. We have taken the shop over. So he got to know that somebody has taken the shop over and he wanted to know about where Mr. Gessler had gone. Yes, but Mr. Gessler. Oh, he answered, dead? But I only received these boots from him last Wednesday week. Now the author was terribly shocked that how can he die? He had just met him a week before. To which the new shopkeeper explained, poor old man starved himself. Slow starvation. The doctor called it. You see, he went to work in such a way would keep the shop on. Won't have a soul touch his boots except himself. When he got an order, he took him such a time. People won't wait. He lost everybody and there he would sit, going on and on. I will say that for him, not a man in London made a better boot. But look at the competition. He never advertised. Would have the best leather too and do it all himself. Well, there it is. What could you expect with his ideas but starvation? Now the shopkeeper explained him that he was on slow starvation which eventually killed him. The shopkeeper told him that such situation arises because he never advertised. In spite of having such a great talent in his hand, the best leather, and nobody can match the quality of the boots he made. But still, he suffered poverty. Also, he never let anyone touch his boots. So whenever he got an order, he worked himself and people won't wait for this much time. That is why all his efforts and talent went into vain. That may be a bit flowery as the saying is, but I know myself he was sitting over his boots day and night. To the very last, you see. I used to watch him, never gave himself time to eat, never had a penny in the house. All went in rent and leather. How he lived so long, I don't know. He regularly let his go out. He was a character, but he made good boots. Yes, I said, he made good boots. Even the shopkeeper was amazed that how a person can go so long working on his boots regularly, not eating anything, who has not even a single penny in his house, and all the money he earned went into rent and leather. But he ended his speech by saying he made good boots, to which the author also affirmed the statement that yes, he made good boots. In the end, I would say if you have a talent, use it wisely, work smartly, and never let yourself lost into this competition. Rather, shine like a diamond. So this was our story. Stay tuned for the next video in which we will discuss the back exercise of this chapter. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.